Somebody else was getting up. I'm sorry. Oh, Stephen. Okay. State your name, please, so I don't get in trouble.
Good morning. I'm Stephen Watson. I'm Fire Chief for Parker ESD10 and also serving as the Consulting Interim Director for Tarrant County ESD1. If you have any questions related to that. I brought some handouts for you, if it's okay if I approach the dais to hand those out, please.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Sure.
And I would just like to address the nature of my being up here today. Chief Druxman contacted me when the petition was filed, just to let me know that it was filed, and I indicated to him that I respectfully disagreed with the approach, but as ESD1, we have never involved ourselves in any matters relating to another community and what they choose to do with their fire protection unless the community engages us. And in the last few weeks, the community has heavily engaged us, actually calling and asking questions and trying to learn how the process works and learn about the capabilities of ESD1, including even Mayor Bass has reached out to us on a couple of occasions and requested some information. I would like to, the nature of what you're doing here as the court is you're deliberating on whether or not you're going to allow potentially the creation of a new standalone local government that has tax authority, that has governance appointed by this court and then maintained by this court. And that's a very serious matter, so I think it's important that we're accurate and we're honest. And so I would call your attention to Commissioner Hill's question a moment ago about the nature of the comment in the previous meeting in which you ordered this hearing about the Tarrant County funding. And the quote, I say this respectfully, but the quote was not in the context of ESD10 standing on its own 2 feet. The quote was, if Tarrant County pulls the plug, we will be coming to have a conversation with ESD1. So I just wanted to set the record straight on what that was, and I believe you can reference the records of this court to verify that. So there's a host of matters I'd like to address, if that's okay, Judge. And
so I take it you're going to exceed that through. This is important stuff.
If you allow me to, yes, sir.
The court, is that okay? Okay.
So I have a few things I'd like to address, and if you look at your handout, I've printed out for you some excerpts of the Chapter 775 of the Texas Health and Safety Code, which I'm sure the county attorney has also made available to you. But I'd just like to remind you that as the court, you have the exclusive jurisdiction to determine each issue relating to the creation of the district and may issue incidental orders as you consider proper in relation to the issue before the court. And again, what you're trying to determine here is after the hearing, if the Commissioner's Court finds that the creation of the district is feasible and will promote the public safety, welfare, health, and convenience of persons, then you would approve the petition. But I'll also call you down to subsection C, where it says if the court finds the proposed district does not meet the requirements prescribed in subsection A, which again is feasible, and those other terms, the Commissioner's Court shall deny the petition. So I'm just making sure we're all on the same page. Of course, I'm not your legal counsel, but on what the statute calls out here. Moving forward, I prepared a possible or hypothetical budget for ESD10, and some of this is based on actual records currently that pay scales and such that is being employed by the Briar-Reno Fire Department. And so I just kind of like to run down this, and I feel like this has been put together very minimal, and of course it's an example. But 2 firefighters a day at $17.50 an hour, 24/7, 365, and this is with no benefit costs other than payroll taxes and workers' compensation. And I plugged in our numbers that we pay for workers' comp. That's $342,000 a year just to keep 2 firefighters in seats in Reno. This already exceeds the $316,151 in projected revenue for ESD10 at a 10 cent per 100 ad valorem rate based on the current tax value of the city of Reno on July's 2024 certified values. If you go on to plug in the salaries of the administrative staff, that's a total staffing cost of $517,000, and I do acknowledge that that is shared amongst contracts that they have to service other communities. Then there's a host of things from just general operational costs, vehicle maintenance, fuel, dispatch fees, technology, PPE, communications, SCBA, compliance, because paid firefighters have to be compliant with TCFP standards, training, and then also the cost of operating a district, including you have to pay the appraisal district to do your tax assessment, collection, legal fees. An annual audit is required to be submitted to this court and conducted, and so on and so forth, as well as if you're going to stand up a local government and not just be running a private nonprofit fire department, it's very much best practices to start establishing a reserve fund of at least 17 to 25%. So I plugged in a very small amount, which is not even close to that number, but to begin establishing that. And then your capital replacement or debt. A $900,000 engine, and ESD statutorily can only finance vehicles for 10 years. At no interest, that's $90,000 a year. Brush truck runs $200,000 to $250,000. So you're looking at easily $125,000 a year in either capital replacement or debt service to maintain fleet. And the same with higher price capital items such as radios, self-contained breathing apparatus, so on and so forth. So I feel like it's very minimal and very conservative to estimate that the cost to operate an ESD10 to specifically serve the citizens of Reno is $900,000. At the projected revenue of $316,000, that's a $584,000 deficit. If you back out, which Chief Druxman has graciously illustrated his commitment to the community, if you back out the administrative salaries, you still end up with a $400,000 deficit to be able to provide services. And I found it seems that we keep referring to, the Tarrant County contract, and I agree with Chief Druxman that Tarrant County is not a question in this, and it shouldn't be. You're evaluating the feasibility of this district to stand on its own 2 feet and be able to sustain services for the intent in which it was created to the community in which it was created. So whether or not that other 600 some odd thousand may go away really shouldn't be part of your consideration, and it shouldn't be factored into the sustainability and feasibility of this new local government that is to be created. I don't think it would be good practice for anyone to bank their decision on that feasibility based on a subsidy from another county. There's some additional information in your handouts for your review if you would like to look at that and have any questions. I've also included just some information that a capstone project that was done by UTA and submitted to in relation to Tarrant County ESD1 that recommends that contracts be pursued or interlocal agreements be pursued specifically for the Briar area with other service providers that are local government that have separations, duties, and best practices financial standards in place, and that Tarrant County is indeed under study of their total operational model. I don't think it's my position to say which way that would head, and again, I don't think that really that's a consideration in your determination of the feasibility of an ESD10. Finally, I would draw your attention to, while I respect the ownership that Chief Druxman and his crew have and what they've built there, and I think they've done a lot with what they have to work with, but it does not cost $7 million to bring services to a community. We just built 2 brand new, very nice, very functional fire stations in Parker County for $2.5 million a piece, including FF&E, and the fleet components and equipment that goes in there is probably another $1.5 million. I'll agree with that, but it's still not $7 million. And if the necessity came about, ESD1 has the wherewithal to come in with its reserve fleet. We maintain a reserve fleet of almost 50% of our total fleet because it takes so long to get a fire truck right now, and it's so expensive to get one. It could be done for far less than that. But I don't even intend to pitch this as a ESD1 versus ESD10 conversation, but as of this morning, we have received a petition, no less than 69 petitioners from citizens of Reno who took it upon themselves to go circulate a petition for annexation into ESD1. And so, on behalf of the petition that we've received, it would be our respectful request that you give those voters in the community the opportunity to be heard. That is not something that we have time to get on the May ballot. It would have to be on the November ballot at the earliest. But I just wanted to make you aware that we had received that petition. And beyond that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the court has.
How many petitioners did you say you got?
69. And the required number of petitions is 50 for annexation.
Does anyone have any questions for Chief Watson?
Appreciate the information. I think it'd be, I'm sure that there are a lot of people that couldn't be here today. I'm sure most of them sent an email to us. I think we need to acknowledge that we did receive numerous emails on each side of this issue from people, and I want to make sure that they understand, if they're able to watch, or they understand that their voice was heard.
Right.
Those who emailed us and probably had to be at work today. We received a lot of those today. A lot of them were the same. However, they did take the time and effort to communicate with us. I think my question back to John is, where do we stand? I mean, we obviously here have another petition, and in relation to the potential that the city of Reno might go away. I mean, it seems to me, when would that election, if that takes place, when would that election take place? Judge, would that be in November?
May, isn't it?
Or May, or?
It
Well-
has been called, and it already is, and that's
May.
in subsection B of 775017. It asks to take into consideration if the municipality is no longer in the territory, are they still feasible? So that's one of the considerations that the court has to vote on and determine, which means you go back to the tax base in an unincorporated area.
Okay. Looks to me like the prudent thing for the court to do would be delay, or, wait. Obviously, we have another petition here now that comes into play. We also have the question of where the city's going to be in existence or not, which plays a big role in what we're talking about here. But we need a legal opinion on that. But before I give before I yield, I'd like to say that it is obvious that the members of the current fire department have poured their heart and soul into making this an organization that they are very proud of. We recognize that as a court. I can assure you that. Our decisions today have really, that doesn't have an impact on it. We have to do what's best for everybody here.
Right.
And so, in trying to come up with that decision now.
Right, and as we've heard from multiple entities, under 775017, the purpose of today's hearing is to see if this is a feasible entity. And the other consideration, as you pointed out, if Reno goes away, since that is on the ballot, are they still feasible? So those are two considerations that have to be considered by the court today. So the action of the court today would be either to grant the petition, call the election, or deny the petition and not call the election. And the fact question is going to come down to feasibility, because the second prong of that is, will it promote public safety, welfare, health, and convenience? And we know they do that. They're already operating, so really it's going to go that first prong, that first question of the feasibility. And based on the evidence presented today, that's what's to be considered.
I don't know that voting as a court today to decline based on the factors that I've already addressed